Now, if there's one thing that I'm a little bit nervous about, and that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of, it's that Kellen Moore is taking interviews for head coaching jobs. We saw the announcement come out that he did a virtual interview with the Cowboys. There were people last week who were panicked that, if he's taking interviews, is he really focusing in on the job at hand? Is this going to be Jonathan Gannon 2.0? I don't think that's what this is. Again, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm making whatever offer I can to retain Kellen Moore, because it's not even so much that Kellen Moore is the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. That's not the point. The point is that Jalen Hurts deserves to have the same offensive coordinator for like 2 years in a row. That'd be swell. And the great thing is, I saw this floating around over on Twitter, but it took a non-analyst to make the point. But Morris Chestnut was over on First Take, and he said it maybe better than anyone about the fact that Jalen Hurts hasn't had the same offensive coordinator for more than 2 years in a row through his career, and tags in Shannon Sharpe to just kind of add a little bit of color to the point, add a little bit of insight to the point of how hard it is to have different offensive coordinators. So I want to go over to First Take real quick, because again, Morris Chestnut, he goes on, has a very good point, brings up this thing about the offensive coordinators. Let's go. Let's see what he has to say to Stephen A. Smith, who's wearing, is that velvet he's wearing? Stephen A. Smith wearing velvet? That's a good look on him. Guy can pull anything off, but
I also believe that Jalen Hurts, he had a turnover. And Shannon speaks about that all the time.
They're talking about the end of the Super Bowl last year.
You got to protect the ball. You have to protect the ball. But Jalen can't play offense and defense. But if we look at the stats, Jalen was money. Kansas City did not want to give the ball to Jalen to end that game. They had to drain that clock. And Jalen Hurts, this is what people don't understand.
Here we go.
The one time he had the same offensive coordinator for 2 years in a row, he went to the Super Bowl and outplayed Patrick Mahomes, who people are saying is the greatest quarterback ever.
It's a very good and astute point. Now, the Nick Sirianni concepts and the macro view of the offensive playbook may be very similar. It may be the same thing. The concepts might be the same, and the OC needs to work within the framework of what Sirianni has put in as like the macro concepts. But this is a perfectly fine point. And this actually speaks to a young quarterback not having consistency in his offensive coordinator. And that is hard to do. Let's get back to it.
Have to give this man a chance. This is his first. This offense is his first year in this offense with this offensive coordinator. At the age of 26, he's had 4 offensive coordinators. Shannon, how hard is it to learn the playbook?
Tagging Shannon Sharpe.
Can you tell me
the hot tag?
It is very difficult, especially the quarterback position, because he has so much on his plate. He has to, the line protection, where to go with the football, the different coverages, what I'm going to do when they give me this coverage as opposed to what I'm expecting when they gave me that coverage. But let me ask you this, Mo.
Yes.
How confident are you that your team can get past the Commanders, get to and win the Super Bowl?
Ooh. Well, I'm worried about the game because this is a division game. It's our third time seeing this team.
It's a totally fair critique.
We split the
People
season
are worried
series,
about
so
the
it's
divisional
gonna be a
aspect.
very, very challenging game. I will say this. The one thing about Jalen, how confident am I in Jalen? Jalen does not turn the ball over. And,
Bingo. That's where we can stop it. He doesn't turn the ball over. Now, could it change? Sure. If this Eagles-Commanders game turns into Jalen Hurts fumbles the ball and throws a pick, do the Eagles win? I don't know. Because at that point, you have to change the game plan. Chances are the Commanders will be able to capitalize on at least one of those turnovers. And if you're behind late, are you confident that Nick Sirianni is going to dial up a bunch of rushes and try to get Saquon to hit a home run late in the game? I'm not so sure. But if you maintain possession, you get out to a nice little early lead, and you ride that all the way, you're fine. Now, I'm going to keep it on the offense because Alex Smith was on Get Up. Alex Smith is not a Jalen Hurts believer and is certainly not a believer that they're going to get past the Commanders this weekend. I just want to see. We'll see how everybody's feeling after this. if you agree, if you disagree, if you think Alex Smith is off base, if you think he has any validity to his concerns. I want to get to this, though, because I haven't listened to Alex Smith analyze the NFL very much. And honestly, after I heard this, I'm not sure that I want to hear it ever again. But here's Alex Smith just talking about Hurts and about whether or not this offense has the ability to win a Super Bowl.
Agreed. And listen, this passing game, and we've seen it from this offense all year, it is conservative by nature. Yep. And Jalen is conservative with the football by nature. Listen, he's risk adverse. He values the football, and that's been the formula for this offense. He's doing what this offense wants him to do, right? They live in a world, we've talked about it with the tush push. It is 1st and 9. Everybody, they got a different set of rules there, right? And so you see it on 3rd down. Watch their 3rd down play calling. I mean, this team never throws it past the sticks. Right? Again, trying to get to a 4th and 1.
So his point is that when the Eagles are in a 3rd down situation, they are not throwing beyond getting the 1st down. They're trying to do an underneath play because they know that they have the tush push at the ready. Is it a fair critique? Maybe. Has it worked to this point? Sure has.
We can tush push, right? They throw, I mean, only Daniel Jones and Gardner Minshew have a lower stick percentage than Jalen Hurts. That's a fact. Right, and again, he took the sack.
All right, but where are those two? They're at home because they suck, and their teams suck, and they are effectively useless as NFL quarterbacks. So I'm not exactly sure what the relevance is, counselor, because it works for the Eagles.
And he has these games, and I agree with you. This was they could win yesterday in the snow. They may be able. Next week, right? Washington's run defense is not great. Can they hoist a Lombardi doing this? I don't think so.
Wow. So after all that, he doesn't think the Eagles offense can win a Super Bowl. The thing that continues to befuddle me, I am not making excuses for the way that Jalen Hurts plays. I am not making excuses for what some might consider to be lackluster play, that he doesn't put up 300 yards a game. Like, they win. What difference, I'm going to sound like Hillary Clinton here, what difference does it make how they win? They go out each and every week with a very similar formula to wear down the opposition on both sides of the ball in the trenches so that when the 4th quarter rolls around, offensively you can get Saquon Barkley to hit a home run with a big run, sometimes a big touchdown run. Defensively, you've worn down the offensive line, and Jalen Carter is able to get through and to make a big play. It's the same formula every game, and it works. So why the criticism of the play calling? Like, they're playing a conservative approach because they don't want to throw, 20 yards down the field on 3rd down because they know if they pick up enough yards to get within a yard, they have the tush push available. Isn't that smart game planning? Isn't that smart play calling? What am I missing? I don't know what I'm missing. Marco checks in and says Hurts is a brick thrower who's now 1 win away from going back to his 2nd Super Bowl. What are we doing here? I don't know. Greg Mondorenko says, I can never listen to national media. They flip-flop more than a pancake. Oh, you want to talk about flip-flops? Oh, don't you worry, because I have quite the flip-flop for you. I had this one queued up just in case. And my friends, it finally happened. A guy who has poo-pooed the Eagles to this point, he finally came around. Now, I don't know. This might actually change whether or not I think the Eagles are going to be able to win the Super Bowl or to win this week in the NFC Championship game, because I'm not exactly thrilled about the fact that this guy has now decided to side with the Philadelphia Eagles. But he seems to have found his inner excellence, and he has a point that he wants to make, and then we're going to get to the Flyers. But Chris Broussard appears to have come around on the Eagles.
Brew, more or
God
less
help
faith
us.
in Philadelphia.
And if you don't believe us in God,
I get
then
why
tree
AJ
bless us.
doing this. On the sideline, in the locker room.
Didn't help
wherever
AJ
you're
much
at.
yesterday.
AJ made a few drops, but he will learn. He'll get better because of this book. Excellent book.
like this.
Look, well, you know what they say. One man's treasure, one man's trash
Yeah.
Let me get it out.
is another man's treasure. Nick dumped the Eagles coach, and I was here to catch him on the rebound. Now, look, I do feel like in this game I'm kind of in a no-lose situation.
Well, I don't know if he's in a no-lose situation. All he's done all season is crap on the Eagles. Say that the Eagles have no chance. Now, Nick Wright, if you remember, preseason had the Eagles third in the NFC. I think he had the Commanders winning the division. So kudos to him for getting the Daniels part of this right. But now you have Chris Broussard flip-flopping.
You said I'm kind of like the Jaden guy. After Coach, Coach is the number one Jaden. Really, Coach is a commander.
Broussard is now claiming that he's the Jaden Daniels guy, which is very unfair. And now everybody on the panel's calling him out.
Since we asked, who would you rather have, Jaden or Stafford? Was that the question?
What?
No. And no, who's the first playoff game?
Jaden or Baker?
Jaden or Baker.
He has fallen apart. Broussard, he couldn't get the one man's trash is another man's treasure thing out, and now he is stuttering all around. Again, I'm not sure that I like having Broussard on board with the Eagles.
And
but we'll continue.
I'm a Baker guy. I like Baker, but I
okay.
chose Jaden over Baker.
Got it.
Said Washington was going to win that game.
We're doing
Eagles.
right now.
Let's talk about Philly.
So I'm in a no lose, but I'm gonna stick with the Eagles because we've been having a good time this week. And now I'm really free because the Ravens are done.
So can I?
So I think it'll be a great game.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with this.
I think the Eagles running the football. Saquon's averaged 148 yards and 2 touchdowns against them.
Is he going bold?
In the 2 games. I get it. The first game, Jaden was he had the ribs, so he wasn't himself, but they kept him under wraps. I think they'll be able to keep him from scoring 40. And look, I think Jalen Hurts can throw the ball well enough. I'm not saying it's going to be a shootout. He can
throw the ball well enough. So we're back to the Jalen Hurts isn't an actual quarterback kind of take. Okay.
A.J. Brown had 2 drops.
Yeah, but now hold on. Can I? Because you're.
Nick Wright's loading up in the 3-piece suit.
To the matchup. I'm going to do that later. As far as more or less faith in Philly after the game they just played, Saquon's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they said it on the broadcast, like running himself into the Hall of Fame. He might very well be doing that. Even though he doesn't have a bunch of amazing seasons, this season's been so amazing, it almost counts as 2 great seasons.
Okay.
And
he's
I'm not
about
going to kill
to say
Jalen
but.
for his performance.
Is there a but?
But I am going to kill Sirianni.
Okay.
There is a but. All right, so he's going to go after Sirianni. We're not even getting into that clip. I need to know if you feel any better now that Chris Broussard is on board, or do you feel bad? Now, Jamie, our resident Ravens fan, or at least Ravens and Eagles fan, but definitely is a Ravens fan, and I feel bad for Jamie because Lamar did everything he could, and Mark Andrews blew that game for them. But it says Chris Broussard has picked the Eagles because the Ravens lost. He was completely behind them prior to that, to the point it was borderline embarrassing. Friends, the media, I'm sure, are going to flip-flop at least one more time between now and Friday's show. And I will cover all of it because the point of the show is to break down the biggest stories in Philly and national sports and dissect the media that cover them. Hence why we, on a wacky Wednesday, like to go out and see what these wonderful media pundits are talking about.